What's up, everybody? It's Grizzly from Red Force TCG, your home for competitive One Piece content. I am here today with an awesome video for you guys. I have with me my friend and esteemed teammate, Chandler. Say hello, Chandler.
Hey guys, I'm Chandler. Nice to meet you.
And we are here to discuss what happened over the weekend. Chandler did get top 64 at the inaugural One Piece National Championship in LA. It was an interesting time, but we're here to just kind of talk about that and kind of to pick Chandler's brain a little bit about Nami. So yeah, let's get into it. Also, before we get started, check out our sponsor, Dueling Guard. They're a great sponsor. You know, they're from our local area and are just great friends. And also, you can use code REDFORCE for a discount at checkout. So whether you're never heard of Dueling Guard and you have no idea what it is, go check it out. If you like trading card games, you get all your insane deck boxes and play mats and things like that. Or if you love it, feel free to use that code just for a little bit of discount to help you out. But all right, so Chandler, you got top 64 at the first national championship. How does it feel? 37th place to be exact.
I wasn't expecting it, especially because, as the viewers know, it definitely, at least from the title, I was playing Nami.
Right.
And I got top 64 with Nami, like crazy.
Yeah, how does that feel, being taking a leader from, you know, not, I wouldn't say obscurity, like it's known, right?
People know it's out there, especially after the EU. Shout out to Rampton, especially after he took it to top 8.
Right.
Probably actually made my life a little bit more difficult. Put it on the map for the week.
Right.
But you know, here we are, and we did it. So I'm just very happy. I don't really know what else to say.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
By this point, it's fully set in, right?
Yeah, it has. It's fully set in, and you know, all my friends and family know, and it's great. All the ego boosting and everything. I cannot believe it.
Speaking of ego boosting, really quick, we have to just take a moment, and you know, everyone on our team already believed, but this proves that you are in fact the best Nami player in North America, mathematically.
Yeah, if you do look at the rankings, I was 37th after Top Cut and X1 in Swiss. So yeah, I was the highest ranking Nami player at Nationals. So maybe I hope we can make that claim to fame, because that's kind of what I've been gunning for as a meme. But here we are.
Making dreams a reality.
Yeah.
So I have your deck list up here. But before we get to that, you know, I just want to ask you, you know, a few quick starter questions, just so everyone can kind of get to know you a little bit. How'd you kind of get into card games? Like what was that like?
I had an older brother, 5 years older than me, when we were kids, and we played Pokemon together. So you know, I just collected Pokemon cards when I was a kid. Played the game as often as I could, whether I was following the rules or not at that age. But and then I got serious when I got into middle school, and my friend's dad actually had a giant box of Magic the Gathering cards, you know, very old cards, and he handed me and my friends the box and said, make your guys decks and just play, you know, do whatever you want to do. Just handed us bulk MTG cards, and we went at it, and it just kind of, oh man, it steamrolled from there. You know, I played Magic the Gathering from middle school all the way up till college, and then took a little break from card games because of money while I was in college, and then it got even more serious when I started picked up Yu-Gi-Oh as a joke to play for fun with my friends. And we all know how that turns out. You know, especially when you're in your 20s.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, I lost. Like, and then you have a little bit of money now, so you can actually like buy singles, and then it actually just turned into us playing casual Yu-Gi-Oh with vanillas to me playing at Nats for Yu-Gi-Oh and playing in all the regionals. So
There you go.
yeah, that was so funny. How it all turned out. We still joke about it to this day. But the slippery slope.
Yeah. Word is on the street you're actually like a dope Vanguard player too.
Yeah, after I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh just a few years ago, still play casually, but I just tried all of the other non-big. I felt like I was missing out. Like I love card games. Like I just want to try them all.
Mm-hmm.
I played Digimon, I played Vanguard, I played big Runeterra player as
Yeah.
well. But Vanguard was just very it after switching from Yu-Gi-Oh and kind of losing the drive, the fun,
Yeah.
playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh for so long kind of took the fun out for me. I
Yeah.
tried Vanguard with a couple friends, and I felt reinvigorated. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just having fun. I'm actually just having fun, win or lose. It's crazy, and so even now when I play more competitive Vanguard and I play in the regionals, I just have way too much fun. Way too much fun, and so now here we are playing One Piece. I don't even watch the show. Sorry, guys.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Like, I honestly don't even watch the show. I watch the live action, but I don't watch the show. But that's just how fun I'm. That's just how much fun I'm having in One Piece. Is
Mhm.
I don't actually have too much connection to any of the cards or characters, but the game itself has really reeled me in.
Yeah, well, that's a great actually. That's actually a really good segue. So why Nami? Like, why do you play Nami? Why do you enjoy playing Nami? And what's made you stick with it from before OPO3 even came out in paper, right? Like, until now.
To the dismay of all of my friends and especially our teammate Mason, I have been playing control decks in every game I've ever played.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry guys, but I am a control player through and through, no matter what game it is. And
You're a blue-white mage at heart.
yeah, I am a and blue white mage and Altergeist, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Card of Demise is one of my favorite cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, sorry if that triggers some people, but and Nami came out right when I was really big into Vanguard, and I played a deck in Vanguard called Tsukuyomi, where you stack the bottom of your deck about 10 to 15, maybe even 20 cards deep, and then once you hit that stack, you have that memorization, and you kind of just steamroll the game from there because you know every single card that's coming up,
Yeah.
which is more important in Vanguard than in One Piece because of the trigger mechanic. We won't go into that, but and in Vanguard a lot I was losing because I was decking out. For those that don't know Vanguard, long story short, you draw a lot of cards and you go through a lot of cards. I was losing from deck out because I was drawing too many cards.
Gotcha.
And then our teammate Mason goes, Chandler, I think you're really gonna like this, when they revealed Nami Leader. And we were in locals at the time, and he handed me his phone, and I just went, my jaw just dropped to the floor. In the moment this leader got leaked, I was sold. I was like, yep, this is it. This is gonna be it.
That's funny. So you were drawing too many cards in Vanguard, and then One Piece goes, "Don't fix your problems, lean harder."
That's actually what it was. Yep.
That's actually super funny. So yeah, I mean, like, I feel like a question has to be asked about this deck and about people that play this deck. Do you enjoy the troll? Do you enjoy flipping Nami at locals or at big events and just watching the hope drain out of your opponent's eyes?
Absolutely. When I played Yu-Gi-Oh, the amount of times I flipped a floodgate and my opponent just sighed and leaned back in their chair, it just felt so good to watch the pain. And again, I'm a control deck player. I love the slow burn.
Yeah.
I love drawing games out and just making my opponent suffer over a long period of time. Remember, guys, we're talking about card games, not other things. Don't take this out of context.
100%.
But I love playing the game, so I just want to play the game for longer. That's all.
So funny you say that. I used to say that as a meme when I used to play Flesh and Blood. I used to play Fatigue Oldham. And in the Fatigue Oldham's win con is literally, I have like 1 to 2 more cards in deck than you. I'm gonna win based off that, and like you just block everything and you hit them for like minuscule damage every turn, but like the damage you'd hit like taxes them a little bit. And the joke I would make all the time is like, I grew up an only child, like I just want to play card games for a long period of time, so I'm gonna force you to play games with me. But,
I feel that. Yep.
Yeah, but okay, well, great. Well, let's kind of get into this deck list. So, in the Nami sphere, there is the list. You know, the solved list from OPO4 that I wish I knew the gentleman's name from Japan. That he I believe there was a breakout CS where Nami won, and that list became the stock standard, you know, kind of list. Is this kind of what we have here? If you want to like walk us through it a little bit,
Yeah,
that'd be great.
this is 48 of the same exact cards, and not only that, I top 32'd in OPO4 format with his exact list as well.
There you go.
So it's not just I didn't just net deck it and play it and it happened to work. No, I took his list and I tested it. I grinded the games and I was like, I can't find anything wrong with this,
Right.
you know. And it just looks so clean when you just have 16 4-ofs, 48 cards, and then the two to it. Like it just looks clean on paper as well, and it just did the job. So I in OPO5 format was just trying to test out a few things, and I landed on just playing this Hina card instead of what the standard was Apis. But that's the only difference. But do you want to go card by card now?
Yeah, like if you want to do a quick rundown of kind of like go card by card, and you know, since this is kind of a more of an in-depth guide, if you want to kind of, you know, maybe go a little bit more in depth of like what the role of the card is, I think that would be great.
Okay. Let's start with Buggy then. Buggy's job, he gets a card out of your deck. So one Dawn to get one card out of your deck, you know, seems good. There's probably better options for that, but he's more importantly, he stacks your deck.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if you whiff with Buggy, it's fine. You stack your deck. And then, you know, this is where, you know, my experience in Vanguard came in, where I'm totally cool with memorizing the bottom 4, 8, 12. You know, if you get Spadas in there, like I'm totally cool with that. And then once you get to late game, it almost feels like your your deck is 10 cards smaller, because you know once you hit it, it's game over because you stacked the gas. So Buggy is very important, and that leads to why we play, you know, 4 copies of many of the other Impel Down archetypal cards in the deck, such as Mr. One. Mr. One was played in the deck always anyway, you know, just because he can get you back your Gavels, your Rubber Bands, your Spadas, you know, just a great toolbox card that is awesome. And the best part about him and having Buggy as well in the deck list is that if you ever play against stuff like Zoro or anything that plays searchers or small bodies, like they can start swinging and help clearing those Makinos and whatnot. So great in that sense. We got Kaya. There's not too much to say here.
I mean, Kaya is like the heart and soul of the deck, right? Like,
yeah, Kaya and Pilaf are the deck. You know, Kaya's great. 2K counter only when you're about to die, I will say. You know, we'll get into more how to play the deck later, but definitely just you playing it, bouncing it back to your hand. You know, 2K counter, and there's so many games where I just don't counter with it. Only play it. So
makes sense.
Speaking of bounce,
No, I was just about to say, tell me about Zeph, because Zeph is a really interesting card to me, because I feel like Zeph is like, he's inherently a slow card, but he has the factor where if he hits you once, that 7 cards literally mean that you win the game. So explain to me Zeph's role in your mind in the deck, and how you go about like using him to max potential.
Yeah. We're gonna go into a little bit of Nami history, Nami decklist history, since I've been playing it since release. Set 3, Belmir was also in the deck. Belmir was in the deck, and Zeph, because Nami was not only a deck that countered, but you know, it could be very, very proactive as well. And just slapping a body on the board that says, if this dude lives, you might die. It's 7 cards is no joke. 7 cards is usually like the difference, like an entire turn. Like I could deck out a turn earlier, which would just win me the game for the most part.
I believe it's
But
14% of your overall deck, right? Because every card is 2%.
yeah, I guess so.
When you put it like that, yeah.
Good quick mess, Nathan. Good job.
That's that law. It's the law brain, bro.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it like that. But eventually in OPO4, Belmir came out. No rush Usopp's, none of that, because decks just developed a very. They were able to get large hands, and there was just more blockers all over the place. So the actual chance of hitting your opponent was very minimal. So you just said, all right, screw that strategy. Like Zeph, nowadays he just has an on-play effect.
Yeah.
And in my mind, like I set the like I still landed Zeph hits at Nats, just a couple,
Right.
but and, you know, it's one of those things where my expectation when I play Zeph is that he's gonna bounce a Kaya back to my hand and he's gonna mill 2 cards, or he's gonna relieve some pressure by bouncing a Pero or a Holly or whatever,
Right.
you know, and then that's the last time I'm ever gonna see of him. But in my opponent's eyes, that's not how they see it. You know, every time you play Zeph, their eyes get a little wide, and they go, "Oh man, I gotta get rid of this." You know, so it's a great deflector. It relieves pressure a lot, because they'll start using their resources to get rid of the Zeph rather than dealing you with damage. So it does a lot of work. Definitely a 4 of, you know, if it didn't have the on play effect, it wouldn't be played.
Sure.
You know, just like Belmir. But yeah, it never, Sakazuki running around, it never lives. You know, it always gets bot decked, or, you know, it'll always get thunderbolted or Gadatsu, even if I still got 5 life. Hopefully I took a life by the time I play Zeph though. But
right.
yeah, it has an on play effect. That's it.
But I guess if they're removing it, that's Dawn that they're using, that they're not attaching to things to swing for good numbers on you, right? So
Exactly.
so in a way, like
it relieves pressure. Yep.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Or they play a blocker and they're like, okay, like I'm just gonna play a blocker so that your Zeph can't hit me next turn, and then I go Brick Fist and hit them and mill 7. So you gotta play 2 blockers against Zeph.
True. It's honestly true.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know you talked about Hina a little bit. Like, how impactful was Hina?
Okay, well, since this is the only card that's like different from the standard list, you know, I got a little bit to say about it. We won't go too much into the theory of playing Nami yet, but a big counter strategy to Nami was to just let them just develop a big body and pass. Let them leave up a ton of Dawn. You know, if you leave up 5 or 6 Dawn, and then it just goes to waste. That sucks.
Yeah.
And usually it only happens that way because you didn't have anything to do on your turn. Hina is just another thing to do on my turn. That's really all. It's a budget peel off that, you know, if I can also sink Dawn into it proactively to swing 5k at board, and it can relieve some pressure there. So it's just a really nice proactive card the turn I play it, and then the following turns as well. And the card I took out was Apis. Apis is a great card, and it is also a proactive card. Unfortunately, it discards 2. It's a little tough sometimes, especially considering now there's other options for proactive cards like this Hina. But and it's a 2k counter, but I'll get into it later as well.
Yeah.
But the 2k counter part, it hasn't really been relevant for a while. You know,
Sure.
people know Nami's played 2k counters, or at least maybe until now, but until this video gets released. And people were always swinging 7. No one was swinging 6. Like, at least at me. I don't know. Maybe other Nami players are luckier than me, but yeah, no one's swinging 6 at me. No one's swinging nice guarding numbers. So Apis came out for the Hina just because it was more proactive. That's the main thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So for the events, since a lot of them kind of do similar things, kind of just like take me through like overarching, you know, you can group them if you want, but yeah, just kind of quickly walk me through the events.
We got your one drops. We got Spada rubber band gavel. We love seeing those in our opening hand because if you go second, you pass. Maybe you play a Kaya turn one, maybe a buggy turn one, and then you have one Dawn up, and it's really nice to have those one drop events to just counter early, especially Spada. Spada has a big role in being able to just get you going,
Yeah.
getting the ball rolling. If he can stack a peel off or something good, then you can just roll into that, and so Spada good early.
Hmm.
We got and then we have the searchable cards by Buggy. We got your Deathwink, your All Stars, your Brick Fist. All Stars obviously just in there as a trigger, but very rarely, but has been used in the past to just play. You discard. Is it up to 2 cards? Yeah, you can try, or you do trash 2 cards from your hand. You don't get to draw the 2 cards because you're not invul down. But it's great for playing around like Isho, Blocker Law, and potentially resolving a Deathwink or a Love in the future. But the entire tournament, the entire Nationals tournament, I did not do that, but I have in the past. Um,
So, is that
yeah,
ever actually worth it to do? Because if you play all stars, you use a Dawn, you use the all stars, and then you discard 2 cards just to get around, like, let's say like a purple blocker law. Like, why is that ever worth it?
it's because you get to choose the cards you're discarding at that point rather than Blocker Law randomly discarding your good cards. No, and
Got
normally
it.
it's only like if you have like other Impel Down All Stars or extra Deathwings, or you're
Just
like
other
you're a little bricked up.
unplayables.
Yeah, like you're a
Got
little
it.
bricked up. So
Got
again,
it.
just extremely niche, but it has happened and can happen, and you should consider doing that.
Okay, so not a core piece of the strategy, obviously, but
No,
can come up.
absolutely not.
Okay, got it, got it, got it, got it,
Yeah.
got it.
We got Deathwing there. It's a card that I don't like playing at 4 copies of. I hardly ever resolve it. I think I resolved it as a draw 1 once in Nats, and then I resolved it as a draw 2 twice. So it's really cool, but I just don't like playing. I don't like playing around it. I feel like I'm just kind of inting, or how do I
Yeah.
put it? Like I'm just throwing to try and resolve a Deathwing.
Hmm.
Just to draw 2 random cards that I don't know what they are unless I spotted beforehand. Which, by the way, if you're gonna try and resolve a Deathwing, try and resolve a Spada before you Deathwing is the best strategy there.
100%.
But yeah, it's got a nice trigger. Bounces a set. I bounced multiple 7-drop horses.
That feels
It was
so bad when it
fantastic.
happens.
Yeah, that's actually the main reason why I ended up playing it as a 4 of, is because I just wanted more triggers. That's really all it was. Um, More triggers and more searchable cards off Buggy. But it's cool when it resolves. Brickfist is obviously a fantastic card. Brickfist, and maybe we can talk a little bit about Nojiko here, but yeah, Brickfist is fantastic because it's flexible. You can bounce your opponent's stuff, you can bounce your stuff, bounce your Kaya's, you can bounce your Hina if you're really desperate as well. Buggy's Mr. One, so it's great. Literally round 1 of nationals, I played a Zeph, and my opponent did the play blocker Sanji, 4-drop blocker Sanji pass, and yeah, I brickfisted that Sanji and then blasted him. It's that simple.
Sure.
Brickfist is just an insanely flexible card. Nojiko was in the deck, but again didn't make the cut in favor of playing less characters, more triggers.
Hmm.
And less characters means less ways for my opponent to interact with my board, like Sakazuki. So that was important to me.
Gotcha.
Uh,
And then last 2 cards, we got Pilaf and we got Love Love.
Yeah. Pilaf really needs no introduction. Like, it just does everything the deck wants to do. It just is simple. Draw 2 cards, +1. Pot of Greed was banned in Yu-Gi-Oh, but here it is, baby. We love it. And Love is still always a fantastic card. It kind of sucks seeing it in your life, but if you leave the Dawn up for it and you see it, it's just fantastic. It's just so much value. +4 and into a draw, replacing itself is absolutely fantastic. So
And Love Love's probably one of the more high skill cap cards to use, right? I feel like that's where I see like Nami players like get really creative, or like where they make mistakes is like either trying to get a full value Love or like not getting enough value out of their Love, like because there's like instances where it's correct to like Love like a 7K swing, right? Or to like I think I've even seen you like Love like an 11 and then not counter the other 3K just to draw the card.
Yeah, we've loved 5K swings. Like it's two Dawn at that point. It's two Dawn, block and attack, draw a card. Like actually crazy, crazy value. But yeah, we'll get into it again. But yeah, using love to draw a card, and then even though you can't counter the rest of the hit, like you still take the damage, but you paid two Dawn to draw a card. Like cool.
Yeah,
That's kind of what it's about. You can't be mad about that. You paid two Dawn to draw a card, so that's important.
100%. Okay, well, great. Well, thank you, Chandler, for kind of walking us through the deck list. Let's go to some gameplay, and yeah, we'll kind of have some more discussion.
All right.
So, Chandler, we just saw your deck list, and we just kind of picked your brain about the card choices. Were there any card choices that you were kind of looking at that didn't make the cut, like, or that you didn't play?
Yeah, I will say every card I talk about, like I've tried it. I promise you, I've tried everything at this point. So, firstly, a lot of people might have questions about. I'll start with the more common ones. Nojiko, I explained Nojiko in before. Just I wanted less interaction. We kept Breakfast at 4. 5 drops are not too relevant in the meta right now. I felt like, I mean, Ploofy's got some, but spoiler, you lose to Ploofy anyway, so no need to play around that matchup.
Sure.
Yeah, so no Nojiko. Apis, talked about briefly. Great card. Again, in any of these choices, if you guys want to play him, go ahead. Nami is a very flexible deck, so Apis is a fantastic card to play, a fantastic tool. If your opponents are swinging 6 at you, or if you actually find yourself resolving Apis consistently, like by all means play it. Don't let me tell you not. I think all of these options are viable. I just chose to play the blue Hina. That's really all it is, due to comfort and preference.
Sure.
And also along with Apis, Bon Clay, the 2K impel down counter, just also a 2K, but you can search it off buggy if you really hate whiffing your buggy searches.
Yeah.
One of my personal favorites that's unfortunately not on the deck is Boodle. Man, I love that
Boodle.
promo of him, but he's not in here obviously because he does not get to block. He's already a 2-drop. And so Sakazuki doesn't even need to do anything to just Hound Blaze him and give him value. And Boodle doesn't even get the on KO Miller card because he got bottom deck. So
right.
Sad to see Boodle go. Overheat is a card other Nami players play, still to this day, and I totally think it's a viable card. I just personally don't do it because a lot of my opponents, same thing with the 2K, where I'm making deck choices preemptive to playing what I assume are strong opponents, right? I'm assuming my opponents are going to get rid of my Kaya before they attack. So, and they have been doing that. And at that point, I just didn't see a reason to put Overheat in the deck anymore if my opponents were playing around it. And now it's great because people play around Overheat even in Nats all the time. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I don't care that you kill this Kaya. I don't even play Overheat, man. So it's just sort of those mind games. And then some lesser known cards. Draw for Kaido, guys.
This is my favorite. If you didn't bring it up, I was going to.
I promise you. I promise you guys. I'm not capping. I promise you guys. I've tested it thoroughly. I have a friend who's also tested it. We've talked about it. We've discussed it. It's there. You can make a Nami deck that has to be kind of around it. Maybe play more 2Ks because when you pay 10 Dawn, you're leaving yourself open. So you might need to play more 2Ks in your deck so that you don't just die after you play it. And Sokka kind of has the same issue there, right? Like you play 10 drop Kaido,
definitely.
you did not die on the following turn. So, But I've tested. It's fun. It's very fun. I highly recommend going to. I can't give you deck list for it right now, but you know, I highly recommend trying it. You gotta swing at your opponent, you know, because they need to be a 3 or less life, so kind of throws them off. But funny card nonetheless.
Definitely.
Soga King. Man,
That's another one of my favorites.
God, I've always said Soga King, 51st card. Like,
Yeah.
seriously, it's a 7/6. You know. Bounces a 6-drop, like crazy pressure relief, and draw 2, like Kaya effect on top of it, like with a counter. It has a spot. It really has a spot. You know, I always say 51st card. 7 Dawn is a lot to commit to 1 card. Like, if you hadn't noticed, Zeph is the most expensive card in the deck.
Yeah.
So 7 Dawn is just a lot, but great card. I love for it to see more play in Nami. And then the last card I gotta talk about is Mr. Hanger.
Okay, this is controversial. There's lore behind the Mr. Hanger.
Yeah, I was watching EU Nationals and I saw one of the Namis on stream in, I think, the earlier rounds, maybe round 4, round 5. Shout out to that guy. He played Mr. Hanger and he kind of opened my eyes a little bit. Like, he actually made me, like, we're 1 week before the event and I rethought a couple things, and I even you know, run it past a friend, and he also kind of agreed with me that Mr. Hanger fills the spot of being a proactive card. Okay,
Yeah.
you can pay it for 2 Dawn, and you can see an extra card per turn. Obviously, the effect to 2 Dawn, rest it, to discard a card, draw a card, it could be better, but it is a proactive card you could play if you're running into issues using up a good amount of Dawn on your turn, and then your opponent developing a big body passing. But that's not, like, I knew that part. That's not the part that kind of got me. Was in the EU match, again, shout out to this guy. His opponent was doing that strategy where he just made the Nami player waste their defensive Dawn. He rested the Mr. Hanger for the effect, and obviously the opponent swung 5 at the Mr. Hanger, thinking, yeah, he's just gonna let it die, and then I'm gonna develop a big body and pass. Easy.
Yeah.
No, this dude opened my eyes. He actually, that Mr. Hanger was the biggest bait of all time, the biggest bait in all of One Piece. He goes, if you're not gonna swing at my face, that's fine. Then I'm just gonna put a body down there that you will swing at. And he actually countered a 5k swing on Mr. Hanger.
Yeah, that was wild.
Like,
I remember we were watching that.
I was blown away, and at first I flamed him. I'm sorry if you're watching this video. I flamed the heck out of you, you know. But I have learned that was kind of cracked, because you got to use your Dawn. You actually got to use your Dawn defensively, and you countered out of your Mr. Hanger, and then you got to keep it and resolve it a second time. And that Mr. Hanger just absorbed so much pressure, allowed you to use so much Dawn. It was crazy. But I'm not gonna play it. You know,
even though you have the super pre-release of Mr. Hanger.
Yeah, no, you guys, yeah.
Shout out to Barry.
Yeah, shout out to Barry. You guys have hooked me up, and just in case, you know, my eyes have been opened, and I don't play Nami and think I'm the best Nami player. I'm always willing to take suggestions from people. I have people all the time go, oh, like, have you tried this card, or what about this card, blah, 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 blah. You know, I love to see what even non-Nami players, you know, what they think could be played in Nami. So
Yeah.
always willing to take suggestions and try them out, because it's fun to try out new cards in a deck that you've been playing for so long.
Yeah,
it spices
definitely.
it up.
100%. Yeah, it's like, you know, it's like the thing with, like, Law, like, you know, Nikki Goldman really likes Dogra. I really don't like Dogra, but I'm like, man, like, if this guy likes Dogra, you know, maybe I should like Dogra too. Like, I don't know. Like, it's something that I'm thinking about trying at locals. But yeah, it's like, that's the great thing about One Piece is, like, or one of the great things just about card games in general, honestly, is like so much room for tech. There's so much room for choices and for things like that. Like, so yeah, definitely go out and test it for yourself. You know, I think we're big advocates of that. You know, I think we're big advocates of, like, of doing, like look at this Uda player playing djembe. Let's go.
Oh yeah, those are some funny recordings. Yeah.
Yeah. So so moving forward, you know, I kind of just want to talk to you about, like, how do you approach playing Nami? Like what do you think maybe makes how your play style a little bit different from like the Nami at like everyone's locals, from like the weekend warrior Nami, if you will? How do you how do you think that you approach it differently?
First of all, I want to say I think that everyone can get to this level of Nami play. I think that I don't think I'm some natural God-given talented Nami player. Okay,
Hmm.
I I just have so many reps on this deck since it was out on the sim, since before it was out IRL. I just have so many reps on this deck, and that's the biggest thing that I would say is that you really need to play this deck. Now I
Yeah,
know if you play it on the sim, people are just gonna like leave,
yeah.
which actually happened today while I was trying to get those recordings. I had 4 people leave before I finally got that Uda player to stay. Shout out to that Uda player, but finally got to play a game. But play with your friends, but get your reps in. You want to see this goes for most decks, obviously, but you want to see all your scenarios. But more
Hmm.
importantly for Nami, you really need to understand the attack patterns and the play patterns of the other decks, because you do most of your thinking on your opponent's turn when it comes to countering. So you
Hmm.
really need to understand what those decks are doing. You need to see all the scenarios against all the decks, as many as you can. I know you won't see them all. Uh, then the game would be boring, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, you really just need to see a lot of scenarios and play a lot of games, get a lot of reps.
So it's kind of like that control deck mentality, right? Where it's like, in order to do well, you have to understand the format holistically, where you have to understand what other decks are doing so that you can understand the best way to approach it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that goes for playing most decks, but definitely more important for control decks and more important for Nami to understand what your opponents are doing. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. What else do you think like is important to actually playing Nami? Because for me, when like I'm jealous of Nami players in a way, because like it's so cool that you have one deck that like is kind of evergreen, where it doesn't really matter where the meta goes. Nami just kind of does her thing, and it's kind of one of those decks where like I kind of see it being relevant for the rest of the life cycle of the game, because it just says win the game on the card. Like,
Yep.
so how do you like? Is there anything that you could kind of speak to, where it's like the lifestyle of a Nami player?
Yeah, yeah.
Or
Bandai is scared. Bandai is scared. They created a leader. They created a problem. Uh, there's a reason Kabaji's banned, guys. I've played with Kabaji on the sim for fun. There's a reason it's banned. This leader is scary. So, yeah, like just to highlight your comment about it being evergreen, like Nami can always be there, and so you have time to get in all those reps. But to go into the more specifics and some tips on how to actually play Nami, I talked about it, a lot of things in the deck list part, but the importance of being proactive with Nami. Um, in set 3, that was a little different. You had the Belmirs, you had the Zephs, and you were actually trying to like actively hit your opponent with those characters, not your leader. By the way, this is where I should say, don't swing your leader, guys. The 1 mil is not giving them one card into their hand for one card out of your deck is not worth it unless you are under dire scenarios.
sure.
Speaking of, my top 64 match was actually a dire scenario because my opening hand was 3 Deathwings, and I was like, yeah, this is one of those games where we got to hit leader, else we're not going to go fast enough. So, yeah, the 1 mil is not worth it. But being proactive is, if you want to think about Nami, it's just 2 halves.
Yeah.
Your turn and your opponent's turn. That sounds really simple and
Right.
kind of obvious,
Yeah.
but you do more on your opponent's turn than any other deck in the game, I think. So it's very important that you think about how much Dawn can you leave up in order to convince your opponent to attack you, in order to not scare them, but
Mhm.
also have enough Dawn to counter your opponent's attack. So
Right.
because the strategy to defeat Nami has developed into, if they leave up too much Dawn, you get scared, and so you just develop a big body pass, make them waste their Dawn, because the limiting factor of Nami is not cards.
Hmm.
If you had infinite Dawn, you could just play all your cards and you would deck out. It's not a
Yeah.
problem. The limiting factor is your Dawn, and so your opponent making you waste your Dawn is a huge problem. and that's what we're trying to counter their counter.
Right.
And we really need to find that middle ground of leaving up enough Dawn to counter, but not leaving up too much Dawn so that we convince our opponent to swing at us. And that's huge. That's
Mm-hmm.
a huge thing, and that's also where reps come in, is figuring that out and knowing what your opponent wants to do on their following turn, how they want to swing, what characters they want to play on their curve, so that you know how much Dawn you can leave up to counter but not scare them. So
Right.
big deal, big deal.
And yeah, and probably after enough reps, you can probably start manipulating your opponent as you understand how people play against you. You'd be like, okay, I honestly don't want them to do a whole lot this turn. I'm gonna like leave up a bunch of Dawn and maybe, you know, play as like right, like eventually you can get to that
Oh,
level where
man.
it's like, you know, you can start playing mind games with your opponent a little bit. Like, or do you think that's a thing or
No,
not really?
absolutely. Yo, guys, incoming second best Nami NA Grizzly, like holy crap, he's already got it figured out. Yeah, that's actually a thing. Is if you have a ton of cards in hand and you can't really play anything, you know, of value, yeah, you can just leave up a ton of Dawn, and I promise you, guys, it works.
Yeah.
Your opponent will be too scared to attack. They'll pass. They'll just develop a pass, and you'll get a free turn. They developed a big body, scary, and you wasted your Dawn, also scary.
Yeah,
But
not good.
sometimes, you know, it's not. You can actually scare your opponent into doing it, and if you want them to attack you, you just leave up very little Dawn. It's actually that it's crazy how it's why we love card games, right? The psychological, in our teammate Mason can attest to this. I always do this in Yu-Gi-Oh. The psychological warfare of this deck
Yeah.
is awesome.
Yeah, it's
It
immense.
is so fun. The psychological warfare. I am that guy in Yu-Gi-Oh that I would have 5 set cards, you know, 5 set trap cards or whatever. They could be fakes. And every single time my opponent did an action, I would look at all 5 cards, even though none of them were actually playable. Okay,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing with finding those little things. Is every time I take a trigger, I pause.
Yeah.
I pause. I think it could be a Mr. One. I don't care. I'm pausing. I'm looking at my hand. I'm looking at their opponent's board. Maybe I even ask them a clarification question on their character as I'm thinking about triggering this thing that isn't even a trigger. Like
Right.
the psychological games are awesome. I
Yeah.
love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it definitely is a part of all card games to some extent, but definitely One Piece has it as well, and you know, I think that also just comes with growing as a player. Like the, you know, it's not just a Nami thing, but I definitely think the deck can showcase it very well. You know.
Yeah.
Well, good. Or did you have anything else for
Let's
kind of
see.
some gameplay tips?
Yeah. I want to talk about. We're getting down to the wire. Stacking. We talked about it also in the deck profile. Stacking with Buggy is. I explained this. Just gonna go over it again here. Stacking your deck with Buggy is extremely important. Knowing the knowing the bottom cards of your deck is huge, so that when you get down to the wire, you can maybe predict what's in your life. And memorizing, obviously you have to memorize the cards. I know that can be hard for a casual card game player in general. Memorizing so many cards in the order, it's really important that you just memorize key cards. Like maybe you put a Kaya or a Pilaf at the 4 spot, and then you put like 2 kind of relevant cards after it. You know, that's a good way to start. You know, you don't have to memorize every single card in every single spot, but at least key cards. You know, maybe a Love Love's down there so that you can chain Love Loves later in the game. It's just memorizing key cards, and it makes you feel like your deck is smaller. It really makes you feel like your deck is smaller, because then once you hit your stack, then you know what's gonna happen. So very important. Even if you whiff off Buggy, it's fine. It's just very important that you guys stack, and that you memorize your stack to the best of your ability. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's a big, you know, a draw. You know, I tried playing Nami once or twice, and the big draw, you know, is like, I have, you know, some background in Flesh and Blood, and pitch stacking is a big part of that game. And when, you know, I was like, oh, that's really cool. And it actually does come up. Like, it's a big thing in law as well. Like, actually getting your second cycle actually happens in that deck.
Right.
And obviously it happens in your deck as well, because that's kind of what the deck's designed to do. So yeah, I can definitely see that being like a big, like, kind of make or break, like kind of separate like the good Nami players from the great ones, right?
It does. It does. Yeah, it's a big set. If you guys want to level up your Nami play, start memorizing your stacks. Seriously, as best as you can. It will make a difference. And then playing around it once you get there is huge.
Yeah, definitely. And you just won that game. Okay. So Chandler, tell me about when you were playing at Nats. Like, what was your matchups? Like, kind of walk me through your day in some small part.
Let me say, my matchups were absolutely fantastic because you guys mentioned this in your previous video, talking about how to prepare for Nats and what deck to bring.
Yeah.
I watched that video. Of course, I watched that video and I learned from it. Crazy, right? That Nami has great matchups into Sakazuki, Enel, and Katakuri. Okay. Yeah. And that is why I brought Nami, because we talked about choose your form of RNG, choose your form of luck. And I said, well, those are the 3 most popular decks in the meta. And I have a good matchup into all 3 of those. All I need to do is avoid Ploofy and some random red decks, and I should be good. Yeah. And that's the form of RNG I'm choosing. And it worked out perfectly. Like, I cannot thank you guys enough for making that video. It got me top 64 at Nats. Crazy.
I think you did the work. I'm glad that the video helped some people, and especially our teammate. That definitely feels good.
Yeah, I was considering bringing Sokka. I was going to be in the field of Sokka players, but no, we brought Nami. We actually thought about it. We didn't just bring Nami because we like Nami. We brought Nami because it's good into the meta. At least the top 3 decks. So my matchups were Enel, Sokka, Katakuri, which was my only loss in Swiss because they actually played Smoothie, which is an extremely good card against Nami. They get to take their life and get the 2K. It put in so much pressure against me that I just couldn't handle it. So
Chandler comes up to us like at the end of that round and goes, "Yo, who plays Smoothie in 2024, bro?"
That was crazy, but good on that cat player. He got me. He got me good.
Yeah.
I should also say I actually did play round 1 and round 2 because I did not have buys.
That's the crazy part.
I only got top 32 at a regional, and it did not trickle down. So we had to go from the bottom. But
that's the wild part, because like the 2 buys, starting with 2 free wins, like it does help you. Like you have to play 2 less rounds than everyone else, and you topped with this deck at Nats, having to play that entire day. And we don't need to go into what happened at Nats. There's everyone made a video about it. I'm sure everyone knows by now what happened. But literally playing from the beginning of day 1, I just want to say congratulations again. It is truly a testament to your mental fortitude.
Well, it's funny because this is all you got to do to approach it. I love playing One Piece. I just got to play 2 more games of One Piece than you did, so that's a diff, bro. I got to play more. I got to have more fun. That's all it was. I got to have more fun.
And that's and that's why you have a goated mindset right
there. So after the Enel, Sokka, Cat, so I first 3 rounds played those 3 matchups. Then I played 4 Sokkas in a row from round 4 to round 7. I beat them all, and then my last 3 rounds, 8, 9, and 10, were all Enels. And I was guys, Enel is your best matchup. The leader is a vanilla. As long as they don't see a bunch of Ohm and Hollies, it's pretty free because they don't do it. They're very slow, other than Ohm Holly.
Yeah, so, I guess it's even better than Katakuri is, right? Because Katakuri can hypothetically win, but
it's more aggressive. So, seeing Enel in my last 3 rounds where I'm, the most anxious and the most stressed was very relieving. Very relieving. And it actually made it, like, I won round 9, I won round 10, and I was like, I feel like it didn't hit me because those matches were so easy. I didn't feel like I had to fight hard for my top 64 spot at that point. Right. My Sokka matches were much more difficult. So, overall, it was 5 Sokkas, 4 Enels and 1 Cat, and the RNG choice paid off. I didn't see a single Ploofy, none of the Zoros or Whitebeards or red purple Luffys, which I didn't want to see any of those. And so yeah, 9-1
Yeah.
after Swiss, all because I didn't see a Ploofy. Because guys, that matchup is near unwinnable. I Nathan, I had you tested against me the night before,
yeah.
and you clapped me, and you absolutely clapped me over and over
man.
again.
I remember when you went to bed, I was like, I hope, like, maybe that was a mistake.
I was just so tilted. How can it be? It's just, you know, just kind of like Whitebeard. It gets to take its life.
Yeah.
You know, you normally want to starve them and not give those, but it gets to take it, and it gets a Dawn for it, and then it just goes ulti page 1, like it goes wide, it goes fast, and then it plays Magellan, screws up your Dawn, because again, as we talked about, Dawn is your limiting factor. So playing Magellans to put it back is just crippling.
Yeah,
so,
but also, you know, I just want to highlight really quick, if I can. That is a part of card games. You know, somebody can look at that and go, "Wow, he was so lucky to not hit his like a bad matchup." But that's just how it is. You know, like we say all the time, you know, internally amongst the team, like in order to win an event or to do well in an event, you have to be both a very skilled player and you have to be very lucky on the same day. Like that's just how it goes. And so, you know, you did the preparation, you hit the luck, but then you also were prepared with the skill on top of that, and that's the recipe for success, at least in our minds.
Yeah, I will be the first person. I'll be the first person to say, yeah, I got lucky with my matchups. Like, I'm the first person to say it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, okay, so now that we've kind of gone over that, like, do you kind of just want to briefly touch on, like, how you approach each of those matchups? You know, we kind of talked a little bit about Anel, but if you want to go re-go over it, kind of like how you approached it, and maybe like kind of like how that applies, you know, to a meta at large.
Right, I gotcha. So Enel, we talked about, if they see Holly, they're going wide, they're going fast. It's a little tough, but their leader is a vanilla, and just yellow decks in general, like, they want to see their triggers, but you just don't hit them, and then they don't see their triggers, and then they're just like a mid deck.
Yeah.
Sorry for all the yellow players out there, but yeah, obviously you guys are playing yellow because you like to see triggers, but then I just don't give you those triggers. So Enel is really just, if they don't see a bunch of Hollies, like, you just play your game out. You really just play your game, and that's it. And then Katakuri, the other yellow deck, a little bit more aggressive, you know, because they can get a 7k leader swing in every turn. The biggest question you guys are all going to have is what do you do with 10 mom? Every deck hates 10 mom. It's a hindrance, and it's bad for this deck too, because your triggers are important. You know, gotta admit, your triggers are important. To briefly touch on it, your triggers on average should be draw like 3.5 cards out of your deck, because you play 16. You play what, 4 rubber band, 4 all-stars, 4 spada, and 4 peel. Yeah, so it should, like, on average, your 5 lives should be 3.5 cards out of your deck. And if the cat player is stacking it and the big mom is trashing it, it hurts. It hurts. But the biggest counter strategy I can give you guys is, while they're on 8 or 9 Dawn, okay, it's your turn, but they just did their 8 or 9 Dawn turn. That's when you play your Zeph. No sooner, because they can Thunderbolt it or Katakuri it. No sooner, you play it on the turn right before their big mom turn, so that if they play 10 mom, Zeph gets in there.
Right.
Because they just played all, like, you're basically just forced them to make a decision at that point, right? Like, you're saying you play 10 mom, but then you also put yourself at risk for the Zeph hit, or you can play the safe route. You can play a cat, you can play a Thunderbolt, you can play blockers. So you're just forcing them to actually think about playing that 10 mom. Now, and we all know how cat players' minds work. They see 10 Dawn, they see 10 mom, boom, done.
Yeah, right.
The average cat player. But yeah, you will. So
shout out to Mason. No, just kidding. Mason's actually the closest go-to cat player.
But so that's the biggest tip I can give you on the cat matchup, is play your Zeph in that specific moment, and then hold your Zeph. You don't try not to counter with them. Try not to discard them if you can. Hold your Zeph. You play Zeph. right before their 10 mom turn, and then they, instead of playing 10 mom, they cat it or they thunderbolt it, and then you just play another Zeph after that, and they just can't play 10 mom unless you wanna, unless you'll swing 11, 13, you'll swing big and you'll mill 7, or their hand is just gone, and
Right.
they don't want you to mill 7, and they don't want to lose their hand. So it's that's the best countermeasure. I've had a lot of time to think about that because Kat and Nami both came out in set 3, and here they both are.
Hmm.
And then moving on to Sakazuki. Uh, Sakazuki, yeah, he bottom decks your stuff, and you're trying to deck out, but guys, that's actually not that bad because Sakazuki players, if they don't know, they're gonna bottom deck your Kayas. And then
Yeah, I'm guilty as of that.
the biggest tip I can give you is, obviously this might be a little bit of a secret, but I know definitely other Nami players know this, but maybe not non-Nami players. You don't play your buggies. You wait. You play your Kayas, and you wait for them to go Hound Blaze on your Kaya. They think, oh my god, so much value. Like, I didn't even have to do anything. I just bottom deck this Kaya, get plus 3k. It's crazy value. You wait for them to bottom deck a Kaya or two, and then you play buggy. And you just moved that Kaya 4 or 5 cards up closer to the top of your deck, thus kind of making your deck 4 or 5 cards smaller
Right.
with a buggy. And so, and then they're bottom decking 2 Kaya. It's crazy. So, soccer players, Lucci the Kayas. Sorry, you gotta Lucci the Kayas. You can't get Hound Blaze the buggies, Hound Blaze the Mr. Ones, but you gotta Lucci the Kayas, or else you're actually just allowing them to play more Kayas.
Yeah, totally.
So that's really the best advice I could have. And yeah, Zeph is just an on play. You can try, but go in with the expectation that Zeph is just gonna on play, bounce something, mill 2, and that's about it. What else? Oh, Ploofy. Yeah, that's unwinnable. Any speaking more generically, any deck that can utilize their life, that can take their own life,
Yeah.
is going to have a good matchup against Nami. Whitebeard did it in the past. Ploofy does it. So that's and they ramp. They even Whitebeard doesn't. They just get the card. Ploofy gets the card and a Dawn. They ramp. They go big. They go fast. It's scary.
Yeah.
And then just other aggro decks, right? Like in general, Zoro or any red deck that plays Rush. Now, we didn't see a lot of them in the meta, but there's always going to be red decks out there with Rush cards.
Yeah.
Since set 1 until the end of time. And obviously we don't like Rush, but it makes your life slightly harder. But it's really just do what you can. Maybe you do that. Those are the matches where you leave more Dawn up, because the red player will always want to swing anyway, because that's what they do. They go hard, they go fast, and so they don't care how much Dawn you leave up. They're going to swing anyway. So in those matchups, you can't be as proactive. You be more reactive, etc., because they have rush cards. And what are they going to do? Play a rush card and then not rush with it? Cool. Then
Sure.
it's just a normal game, I guess.
yeah, totally.
So, am I missing anything, or is there anything you want me to touch on?
No, I think that's really good. I think, kind of moving on as we kind of wind down, where do you kind of see the future of Nami going? Like, obviously, you're not clairvoyant. You don't know what cards we're getting. Even though this event was for OPO5, we've been watching OPO6 gameplay. There's obviously the inclusion of Tashigi and Whitesnake and the Navy package.
Yeah.
Where do you kind of see Nami going in the future? As we kind of talked about it being evergreen.
Yep. I will say, Tashigi, between you and me, I haven't seen a single other Nami player ever play Navy Nami, as I call it.
Sure.
I see me and my friends, we seem to be the only ones on this list. I'm sure maybe other people have tested it, and maybe it's just bad, but I've tested it, and the games that I think the first 2 games at least that were on this video in the background, those were Navy Nami. You just play. You take out the buggy and in place of Tashigi, and you play Whitesnake and the draw Hina. It's only 8 searchable cards in the deck. That's probably why it's kind of suspicious to play. But I'm just trying it out, to be honest, because Whitesnake in OPO6, that card is bonkers.
Yeah, that's a really good
goodness.
card Nami got.
2 Dawn plus 1k for the turn and draw a card. No restriction on the draw card. It's actually just 2 Dawn draw card. This deck says, "Oh, you know how you kind of have a bad matchup against decks that go wide, like the Ohm Holly or like or like Zoros or nah, not anymore. You just have like 1, 2 white snakes in your hand, and they just can't do anything. It feels so good. It feels so good against some of the decks. Some of the games were against Green Uta. They go wide with like Brook and the Luffy, but it's just crazy how much work White Snake puts in,
Mhm.
and Tashigi just in there searching Nami cards. But if I'm being honest, Impel Down still might be the way to go, but I'm just trying something else. That's really all it is there. But that's kind of what I see the future of Nami. I know Bandai is also looking at the future of Nami, because if they make one mistake, if they print one card wrong, Nami can be best deck, and I will be the first to admit also that Nami should not be the best deck. That's not fun. If everyone's playing Nami, nobody wants to play Mirrors. An alternate win condition as the best deck in a card game can get a little unfun for the community. I'm sure some people will enjoy it, but the rest of the community might not. So,
Yeah.
yeah, White Snake, great. Maybe you can play Navy package next set. And then real briefly, we've seen a little bit of Impel Down cards from what is it, the extra booster, or is it
EBO
set
one,
7?
yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah, those cards look nasty. They're not on the sim, so I haven't gotten a chance to like really read them or try them or cook, but those could make waves too, for sure, especially since you already play Impel Down cards. So
Right.
kind of awesome in that sense.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, anytime they ever print a blue card that says draw a card, you got to be looking at it, right? Like,
I am.
so
Yeah.
Bandai, keep your nose clean. Okay, well, cool. Well, here, let's get back to the deck list. And all right, so Chandler, I just wanted to thank you for kind of taking some time. We really wanted to do an in-depth, Nami specific video to sort of as a love letter to the Nami community. Just kind of celebrate the deck, to celebrate your performance, your achievement. The people that will get something out of this video will watch it. We're not concerned about. This is a video for the people it's made for.
Right.
Yeah. So do you have any shout outs? Do you have any kind of closing thoughts on kind of your performance?
Yeah, I got Nami is a deck that is kind of hated by a lot of people, but I have so much support from you guys and from my locals, name everything games. I got so much support from so many people that they don't hate on Nami. They respect me, and they flatter me. People flatter me all the time. Even my opponents at Nats are telling me, "Yo, wow, you're such a good." People are so kind to me for playing Nami, and I know that's not the norm.
Yeah.
And so I'm very grateful, and I'm very thankful to even the One Piece community as a whole for just kind of not shunning me because I just want to play an alt win condition deck. But that's number one. But I mentioned a couple times, but I have a friend. I don't know him IRL, but he goes by the name of Shocks on Discord, and he's been a big help and a big proponent of bouncing ideas off of. We've talked statistics, we've made graphs and numbers and talked over everything. I watch him play game. We bounce things back and forth all the time, and I just really appreciate all of the time that he has also put into this deck for us both.
So what's that like, having a actual person to bounce your pet deck ideas off of? Because before you guys joined the team, I just had my own channel in the Discord where I would talk to myself about.
You need it. You honestly need it. And he really does think about the game differently from me, because he's also newer to card games in general. But yeah, so I love hearing his opinions, and sometimes it's easy to brush someone's opinions aside because they're newer to card games, but it's actually those fresh minds that you can really get some awesome ideas from, the fresh minds that are new to card games, and so they might approach them differently. They haven't been tainted yet.
Yeah, 100%.
So him, and then I met another Nami player who was playing Sokka. He was my opponent. His name was Emmanuel. Super nice guy. Also a Twice fan like us.
We love
So
that. We love
shout
that.
out to him. Got him on Discord now, so hopefully we can start bouncing ideas off more people. Shout out to my friend and teammate, Mason, who's been my #1 playtesting partner for about a decade at this point, over every single game we've played. And then two other friends of ours, Trevor and Ivan, just very close friends who always support us. Shout out to Heart Pirates TCG for being a big inspiration to all Nami players and really supporting the deck and allowing it to thrive.
100%.
Shout out to another friend, Miguel. He got a friend who just showed up between rounds 2 and 3, gave you Baja Blast.
Oh,
That
that's gas.
changed my life. That changed my life, honestly. Him and he's a big Vanguard player, and the rest of the Vanguard friends that I have, that just really help me remember that card games are fun. As we're playing Vanguard. Wife is just she's big. She's big. She supports my hobby fully. She's so proud that I get to get out of the house, meet people, travel. She's supporting me, encouraging me every step of the way in every event I go to. She's great. Last but not least, the whole team, the guys, Red Force TCG. I honestly don't think I would have done so well at Nats. If I was still didn't have you guys. You guys have really challenged me. You guys have been my training dummies. Sorry that I've had to beat you guys up with Nami, but you guys have been good sports about it and really actually still ask me, even though none of you play Nami, you still ask me questions and really challenge me to think about how I'm playing it, what cards I'm using, and just like I said, the video you guys made, the Nats preparation video, I wouldn't be here without you guys supporting me. We're really working together. It really feels like we're a team, and that we're all great friends and we're a band of brothers. So, great, and especially shout out to our teammate Tinny for telling me that Nami players are trash, and just really just saying bet. I was playing Sokka for this format. I was playing Sokka. I was like a blue deck. That clear. It's kind of like a control deck, tempo deck. I was like, this is great. Like I love Sakazuki. And we were at a case tournament and he's on the Star Vanilla list and I'm telling him like, bro, if you ever run into a Nami player, it's over. And he's like, what do you mean? Like Nami players are trash. Like I'm still gonna win with Star Vanilla. Well, he ate his words. He ate his words quite so, and he's actually a big reason why I'm on Nami today because I did well in that case tournament, and I was like, huh, I didn't think this was still good.
Yeah,
100%. I wasn't a believer. Yeah, that's all I got though.
Well, cool, man. Well, yeah. Well, hopefully everyone has enjoyed. Hopefully you can take something away from this, and yeah, keep on the lookout for us in the future. Our heart is, we really just want to put a spotlight on the competitive One Piece community, and hopefully get better ourselves and help other people improve and meet their goals. But well. Thank you so much, Chandler, for hanging out. I appreciate it. I know we got to go play Relink right now, so we'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Oh, Dueling Guard, check them out. Use our code. Subscribe, all the good stuff. Follow us on Twitter. We love all of you. See you guys later.